Well, he has survived a lengthy battle with cancer. He just got a new bladder using his intestines. He's a tough guy. He's in the hospital bed right now. Ted Gunderson. He entered the Federal Bureau of Investigation in December '51. He served in Mobile, Knoxville, New York City, Albuquerque offices. He held posts as Assistant Special Agent in charge in New Haven and Philadelphia. As the Chief Inspector and Special Agent in charge of the Memphis and Dallas Division in '77, Gunderson took his last position as Senior Special Agent in charge of the Los Angeles Division. And when he retired, he was chosen as Law Enforcement Officer of the Year in America by AFL-CIO Metal Trade Council. And it just goes on and on from there. And Ted Gunderson literally exposed big cases that even came out in the newspaper with the CIA, with giant child kidnapping rings, Satanist control grids. And he'd talk about this 25 years ago, even though he had the evidence, people laughed. Now it just comes out and comes out. Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, all these pedophile politicians, pedophile priests. This is the DynCorp running the CPS in many counties in the country. I mean, it is nightmarish. So he joins us from his hospital bed, and we appreciate Ted Gunderson joining us to talk about the Tea Parties, false flag terror, OKC Terror 2. He, inside the FBI, saw COINTELPRO. He's an expert who can explain what it is, and in his view, I talked to him earlier, that it's being used against patriots today. Ted Gunderson, good to have you with us.
Well, Alex, it's always a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you very much for giving me a call. And you know me, I'm glad to share any information I have with anybody that wants to listen to it long enough. So,
Ted, that's awesome. Your phone was coming in great earlier. It's overdriving a bit. Can you back off of it a bit?
Yeah, is this better now?
That is awesome, sir. Thanks a million. Okay, tell us a little bit about the FBI, the positions you held, and COINTELPRO. And I know laying there in your hospital bed, you've probably seen Clinton saying, gee, I hope the rhetoric, settles down, because if people don't stop criticizing Obama, it's going to be their fault when a federal building blows up. And we know they've now caught the Democrat operatives with Nazi signs in the Tea Parties. Do you agree they're building up towards stage terror?
Absolutely. I've said this for 30-some-odd years. Absolutely no question about it. This whole terrorist movement was designed to bring on the Patriot Act, Homeland Security, and take away many of our constitutional rights and civil liberties legally, as they say, by passing these laws. And as you know, Alex, the Patriot Act was passed at 3. It was substituted. The real act had been approved by 36 members of the Judiciary Committee, and it was to be voted on that particular morning by Congress. And at 3 o'clock in the morning of that morning that it was to be voted on, George W. Bush came in with his own version, a 300-page version of the Patriot Act, and substituted it for the other one. And then our congressman voted on an act that nobody had ever read. And, what does it do? Look what it does. It by a direct violation of the Constitution in a number of areas, the freedom of speech, the due process, and then it just goes on and on and on. That's what it's all about. This terrorist movement in this country today is government coordinated. The covert, I call it the criminal government enterprise is behind this whole thing. The shadow government, the Nazis, as you say, there's no question about it. The spiritual war that dovetails into satanic activity and the pedophilia, and framing the congressmen and senators in the Nebraska case, which I worked with former Senator John DeCamp, and on and on and on. Oklahoma City was inside job, 911's inside job. The World Trade Center car bombing, February 26, 1993. The FBI was not only involved in it, they knew in advance. This is in the New York Times, October 28, 1993, by the way. They knew in advance, the FBI did, about the bombing, and they had an informant in with the group, and he was told to put the bomb together. He went to his FBI superiors, and he said, we're going to use a dummy bomb, aren't we? And his FBI superior said, no, we're going to use a real bomb. So the FBI not only knew in advance that they were going to bomb the World Trade Center car bomb in 1993, they furnished the ingredients for the bomb. Now, what more evidence do you want then? That came out during the trial because the informant, the FBI informant, wore a body mic when he met with the terrorist, and unknown to the FBI, he wore a body mic when he met with the FBI, and that's what probably kept him.
Yeah, that was Ahmad Salam. I mean, he knew that they were setting him up, and so he went in and said, look, you're saying go ahead with the bombing. You did this. Why are you doing this? We were supposed to bust him, and the FBI said, no, it goes forward. Now, again, we're very honored to have you, Ted, and you're going 100 miles an hour, which is great because you're so full of information. Everything he's saying is backed up and documented from my own research. But let's go back now, and be sure and back off that phone for me. Let's go back to your awakening in the FBI, what you saw with COINTELPRO, what it is, and how you see them trying to now frame the Tea Parties, how they're prepping the public and the media for terror attacks to discredit people that are trying to stop the New World Order.
Well, I was very active in the COINTELPRO program, particularly the Black Panthers back in the 1960s during the Vietnam War. You know, we used it against them, and it was very effective, and it's very effective today, and they're using it today. But what they're doing today makes the old COINTELPRO program by the FBI back in the 60s look like a Sunday school class. These guys today are unbelievable. I mean, they're brazen. They're violating the law. They're coming out and trying to set people up. I'm a perfect example of it. They tried to set me up in 1982 with a drug deal with a girl named Pam Fawcett, and she came over to my side and told me that they were trying to set me up, and I gave her a polygraph examination, and she passed it. And then I took a signed statement. I sent it back to Washington, and that was it was short of that unbelievable activity on their part, trying to set me up on a drug operation, and all they want to do is just discredit me, derect me.
Well, tell people what COINTELPRO is, and when you were involved in it. As you said, that was light compared to what's going on now. What it is?
Well, what COINTELPRO program is, it's a major disinformation program. And I'll give you an example. In the Black Panthers, back in the 60s, we sent an anonymous letter to the Secretary-Treasurer of the Black Panther Party there in New Haven, Connecticut, and told him that the chairman of the Black Panthers Party was having an affair with his wife. We sent a letter at the same time to the chairman, told him that the Secretary-Treasurer was stealing money from the Panthers, and it causes disruption within the ranks, and it causes dissension among the troops. So that's just an example of it. And
that's the kind of stuff I go through. And I know you've gone through it. Just constant lies, constant stories, just throwing as much garbage as they can at anybody that's actually getting something done.
That's right. That's right. And they've done that to me. I mean, if you go on the internet, you see people like Stu Webb, who was an FBI informant, who actually I took him in, housed him, clothed him for 7 months, gave him a car with gasoline in it, actually bought him a suit. He had no place to go. He was looking for a place to stay for 4 days. I took him in. He stayed for 7 months, and he ended up being an FBI informant against me. And he stole from me. He stole all kinds of material and research from me. And then he goes out now and he goes on the internet, this guy Stu Webb, and he tells the people that I'm a practicing Satanist, that I was kicked out of the FBI for practicing satanic ceremonies in the federal building. And that's the kind of junk.
Well, I don't even really know that guy, but I mean, the issue is they call my wife up on unlisted numbers and tell her what her and I have been talking about on the phone, and then women call up saying I've gotten them pregnant. So it's just standard stuff going on. But you're saying today it's much worse. What do you see them doing with the Tea Party? Because every news channel is saying we're all racist, Klan members, and we're going to blow federal buildings up. The news is all saying I'm calling for violence when I'm calling for the opposite. Break that down.
Well, what they're doing is they've infiltrated every group in America. They've got their own people in there, their own informants, their own provocateurs in there, and they're going to stir them up. They're going to come up with the idea. Their provocateurs are going to come up with the idea of doing some violent acts, and then try to set up the Tea Party itself for these violent acts. And then, of course, that's when the FBI will come in and arrest everybody, and they'll let their people go. The people that set it up, they'll be pretend like they're prosecuting, they'll just disappear out the back door, and that'll be it.
Well, that's like Hatari up in Michigan. They're now saying that their FBI agent and informant were part of the 9-member group, but they still arrested all of them. But some of them are being held at other facilities, so we'll see them be released out the back door later.
Absolutely. They'll release their own people, and then they'll go along another part of the country and work in with another group under another name and start all over again. Absolutely. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, they've even caught the Democrats telling people to go out and dress like Nazis and go to tea parties. But more and more of this is coming out. I mean, do you think the New World Order's in trouble?
Well, I hope that they're in trouble, because people are waking up. And when I started talking about this like 30 years ago, I got out of the FBI in 1979. When I started talking about this 30 years ago and I came out and went public with this, people thought I was a kook, I was nuts, I was conspiracy theorist.